Good morning, students. Hope you all are staying safe at home. Today we will be starting a new chapter of political science, chapter 4, Key Elements of a Democratic Government. As we have already learned in the last chapter about democracy, it is a form of government which is elected to power the people of the country. And in this chapter, we will see about some key elements which influences the workings of our country of democratic government. That is participation, accountability, conflict resolution, equality and justice. First, let us look on to participation, as this is the act of taking part in something. In a democracy, the people they take part in the formation and dissolution of the government. It can take place either directly or indirectly. Election, it is the most direct method of participation in representative democracy. As we have learned in the last chapter about all the adult members of a democracy, they are equal, okay? Irrespective of their religion, caste, class or gender, they can elect their leaders through the voting process. And these leaders, they act as representatives for the people in the government. Here, once when the government has been elected, they stay in power for a fixed period of time. In India, it is 5 years, and in these 5 years, the government they have to work for the welfare of the people, for the good of the people. They have to perform well so that the people they choose them again in the next election. They re-elect them to power. But if they do not do the same, the people they can elect another political party to come to power, and thus the ultimate power in a democracy lies in the hands of people. The power of people, it prevents leaders of a democracy from becoming dictators. There are also many indirect ways in which people they participate in the functioning of a democracy. If people they want new laws or they are dissatisfied with the existing one, they can express their opinions, they can express their viewpoints by writing the letters to editors of newspapers and magazines. They can protest, they can organize rallies, they can make campaigns, and they can use the social media platforms. So they are having many ways to show that they are not agreed to the decision of the government. The democratic governments, they are bound to take heed of these opinions and they have to act accordingly. Now the next one is accountability. It means to be responsible or answerable for one's actions. In a democracy, the leaders, they are answerable to the people. This is because they have been elected by the people, and they could not be replaced if they are not competent. If they are corrupt, inefficient or dishonest, they would be punished by the judiciary, which is independent body. It is impartial as well. So in a democracy, citizens they closely examine and they monitor what the government is doing, what are the functions of the government. In India, the citizens are having Right to Information Act, that is RTI, which was passed in 2005, which gives every Indian citizen the right to request for any of the public information from government authority, and the authority they have to reply the citizen in 30 days, within 30 days. So the process of filing an RTI is very simple. We can do it online also. This is a powerful tool in the hands of public, and it gives them power to question the decisions and functions of the government, which makes the government and they are working very transparent. People can assess any of the information of the government. All these systems can only work properly if the people they are aware of their rights, they know their rights, their roles, their responsibilities and power, and they know how to exercise their powers in a right way. So the next is conflict resolution. In a democracy like India, there is many of the groups of people who live together. They are bound to be disagreements. Obviously, if there are different point of views on any of the important issue which has been there in the country, people will give their different opinions, okay, because there is diverse nature, and there will also be competition between the groups for the limited resources which is available in the country. Sometimes because of this difference of opinion and competition of resource, it leads to conflicts, and in such cases it is the responsibility of the government to take the step and to try to prevent these conflicts and to resolve them. So conflict resolution in a democracy, it is usually initiated by executive branch of the government. They carry forward it to judiciary, which is independent and impartial, and Just to understand this, let us look on to the examples of sharing river waters, the conflict which was there. So the sharing of river water between two states, between different states, we can say it was a source of conflict in India, as Tamil Nadu was having ongoing conflict with two neighboring states, that is Karnataka and Kerala, over the sharing of river water. So the Mulla Periyar Dam on the Periyar River, it lies in Kerala, but it is operated by Tamil Nadu. Water from this dam is used by Tamil Nadu to irrigate agricultural lands in this state. And Kerala, it claims that over 116 years old dam, it is dangerous and it should be rebuilt. It also questions Tamil Nadu's claim to water from a river which flows entirely through Kerala. So Tamil Nadu, it holds that since some of the Periyar's tributaries, these rise in Tamil Nadu, they come from Tamil Nadu, they also are having the right to assess or to use the river water. It also claimed that the dam is safe and wants to increase the water level further. After several episodes of this violent conflict between the people of two states, the central government intervened. In 2014, after a long discussion and hearing, the Supreme Court it said that the water level in the dam could be increased from 136 to 142 feet, and it also created a permanent committee to oversee all these issues concerning or related to Mulla Periyar Dam. And through this solution, there was a complete end to all the clashes, to all the conflicts between two states, and it is an important example how the government took step in the times of conflict. Let us now read about equality and justice. As equality, it is the most important feature of democracy. Universal adult suffrage, it ensures the political equality in India, but social and economic inequalities, it is a major point which exists still in our country. And this is because of the vast diversity of India, and because of this, it leads to discrimination on various grounds. Here, let us look on to an example. As there are two children, X and Y, X belongs to backward class and Y belongs to an upper caste. X's parents, they are poor, and Y's parents, they are well to do. Okay, so this is diversity, that some can be poor, some can be rich, some can be from middle class. Y, it goes to the best school in the town, and X does not get admission there because he belongs from a backward caste, and because of that his parents, they also are not able to afford the high fees. This is discrimination. When Y goes on to the study in best colleges and gets a job which makes him more wealthy, X drops out from school to help his family, his parents, to earn the small income. Y's father, he sent him to city in search for a job, but because he is not having any of the qualification, he does not get job anywhere, which shows us inequality. So in a democracy, it is duty of the government to make measures, to take some steps to address inequality and ensure justice. Here are some of the steps which are taken by government towards this end. As one of the most common causes of discrimination in India is caste system. Untouchability is one of the most cruelest expression of this discrimination. There are some people, some social group which denied equal opportunities in education, employment and healthcare for long time. Because these inequalities and discrimination is there, people, they do not get opportunity in education, they do not get proper employment, proper healthcare. But the efforts of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, it encouraged many of the people to speak in their favor and to speak for their rights, to remove the practice of untouchability in India. And finally, Article 17 of the Constitution of India made the practice of untouchability a punishable offence, which is mean punishable by law if any of one practices discrimination. To ensure social equality, the Constitution of India, they also have introduced the policy of reservation for SC and STs. Seats are reserved from them in parliament and in government schools and colleges. Here, jobs are also reserved for them in public sector organizations. And this policy of reservation, which is being pursued by Indian government, it is also known as positive or protective discrimination. There is unequal treatment based on gender. It is another example of discrimination in India. As girl child in many parts of India, they still are unwanted and they are treated unequally. Recognizing the seriousness of this issue, the government has come up with many of the law and policies to promote equal treatment of girls and women, as there are laws which ban the practice of female feticide and infanticide, dowry, child marriage, abuse, domestic violence in marriages. The Beti Bachao Beti Padhao campaign, which was launched by government, which increases the awareness between people about all these issues, about whatever is going on around them, to increase the participation of women at the grassroots level. A minimum of 1/3 seats, these have been reserved for women in local governing bodies. So students, here's an interesting activity for you all to make a poster about women's empowerment. You can make the poster on any of the following themes: save the girl child, say no to dowry, or educate girls. So students, start thinking and start drawing your posters. Till then, keep learning and have a good day ahead.